Okay, I hope it is visible. So I'll be focusing this camera. This is just a demo, like for a few minutes. And I'll be, this camera is basically connected to the Wi-Fi. So what I'm trying to show you is on the screen, it may not be stable. I'll still try. So you can use a tablet or any Android device as a for reference. So the camera is actually with me in the hand. Okay, you can see the camera moving. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it is very easy to get data from the camera, basically. So just when you're designing a drone, you need not think about how can I start with, what kind of camera can I buy. So this works especially with 9 volts and about 0.6 amps. That is what the power rating of this camera is actually showing. So I tried it without the external power supply. It still worked. So if one wants to actually mount it on the drone with just a battery, 9-volt battery or to it, you can do it. It also has a SD card where you can actually record what is happening.
Sir, what is the cost?
It's about 1,700 when I bought it. It's still around the same price, about 1,500 to 1,800.
Sir, and what will be the weight of the camera?
I measured it about probably about 150 to 200 grams. It depends on only the camera is 150 to 200 grams. It's less than 200, but if you add a Duracell, a very powerful 9-volt battery, I think it would come around 220 to 250 grams maximum.
Okay, sir. Sir, can we do the, can we take the video source from this camera?
Yeah, actually, the camera is in my hand. So whatever you are seeing is the video source on the tablet. So whatever is this is the tablet actually, the 4 corners.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you can actually, I'm not moving the camera, like in the sense like hardware is here. I'll take this off for a second. So the hardware is here. I'll be moving like this, okay? A little offset from the camera which I'm showing you. So this, I'm placing the tablet on this, which you can see. So basically you can actually look at the things which are around. Okay.
Sir, using Python, can we like detect the peoples and all using this camera, this quality camera?
You can actually, I hope you are able to see the resolution. So may not be that perfect, but still it's a little like a far better than what you see on the screen. So you need to process it offline, like not on the drone. You need
Yes.
to have a ground station and you can do the processing. It will
Yes.
just give a feed for you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So any object closer to that, it can actually sense. I think this much of clarity is enough for learning purposes. Doing the when you learn how to integrate devices and build a drone, rather than buying the ones off the shelf. So this is an inexpensive way by which you can do. Probably you can even fly the the camera with the drone. Like attach the camera to the drone. There are ports at the bottom, or you can actually print some whatever you need, and you can actually attach it to the drone, and you can fly it. And it has a SD a card, like about a minimum is 8 GB. You need to put the card inside. A maximum of 128 GB it holds, and continuously it can record for If in low quality, it can record. If it is 128 GB memory card inside the slot, this camera can record for in low quality for about 16 days when it is powered. And if it is 32 days, and when it is of high quality, it can record for 16 days for 128 GB. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, and what is the range of this camera?
Range in the sense like you're asking the distance, like focus.
Yes, no, sir. Is this a Wi-Fi camera?
Yeah, it's a Wi-Fi camera basically.
Then what is the distance?
I have tested inside my home. It worked fine. Though probably more than 40, 50 feet also it worked perfectly. I'm not sure of the range exactly, but it has a good amount. It draws a good amount of current. That is what I could say. I'm not sure of the range, frankly. This is for indoor basically.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I think we are actually done with the demo session. So we'll be getting into hands-on using processing. So I hope you can open the, you have all installed the processing software, and you must be ready to open the software. Please open the screen, the processing screen. I'll be touching upon the basics. I'll be just showing you what are the capabilities so that you can interpret the data, whatever you get. Okay.
So
that
we
is the
don't see PyBullet today.
PyBullet is the next. That will be for 45 minutes. This
Okay.
processing will be for 15 minutes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
This
Because G-
processing they are having, sir. Students are having this processing.
Okay, good. Yeah. So the main intention of showing you the processing software is that, like what to say, it is very useful when it comes to visualizing data. So it has Java. Java is not that commonly used in robotics, as you all know. You can use Python or other ways, or you can even control a robotic arm which you have actually made on your own using this processing. Okay, so are you all with me on the same screen?
Yes, sir. Just a minute.
Just a minute.
Yeah, sure. So probably I can give a spare a minute for everyone to set it up.
Sir, when we open the software, it is by default in lower resolution. Excuse me, sir.
Hello.
Excuse me, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sir, the thing is, sir, you are using processing 3.5.4, right, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, I am using 4.0, sir. Will there be any huge difference?
No, I don't think so because I think 4 point got released a few days ago or something.
Sir, it is
So
beta version.
okay, 4
So,
point is beta version. Yeah,
yes,
okay,
sir, yours is stable release.
okay. Because I think the processing celebrated 20 years last. I mean, this month, 8th of this month. So a little about processing is that it was initiated in the year 2001 for graphical programming purposes at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And for about 3 years it was there, and then Ben Fry and Cassie Reyes, they took over for about 8 years, and then it matured into a foundation, the processing foundation. There are a lot of things which the processing foundation does. So if we can start, like one can start a community in their own geographical location, and they can teach others if they are or introduce them to processing software. So that kind of, it's basically a community driven programming language, okay, a programming interface, IDE. So it's basically non-profit, and it's available open source on all platforms. Like even Android has a version of processing. So I'm not sure how efficient it is, but there are a lot of users who say that it is working well on Android also. So one can look into that. Okay, so there are basically modes. So Java mode and Python and Android. So it depends on what place you're trying to use it. So if you're going to use it on, say, Android smartphone, then I think you need to look into the Android mode and develop it specifically for the Android version. But one good thing is that there are little changes, like a minimum, like a few lines which have to be changed so that it can be run on different platforms, like in Java mode and Python, and as well as as well as Android. So there are various modes you can see, and you can add your other modes which you might like to have. So PJFI is usually used for simple editing, so like to edit code as well as to create GUI. And Python mode is for processing, like processing 3, and R programming, which I'm not sure of, but I've heard of it. It can also be used here. So one needs to look into the libraries which one like to have. So for these purposes where we need to interface hardware, like controllers, like development boards like Arduino, then we can install the necessary libraries by just clicking on it and clicking the install version. So I have already installed, so it's not showing an option to install. Okay, so you can actually install the GUI library to custom build the interfaces. So you know that the Android mode has a lot of interfacing options, so you can go ahead and interface it as per the style and the screen. And even it can be interfaced with Raspberry Pi. You can see here the hardware input output, Raspberry Pi and other Linux based computers. And Kinet, which is commonly used in robotics research. We can like show the create a graphical user interface for that. And there is something called as a quick camera. So we can actually, like how I showed a small portion of camera on the screen to stop. So that can be interfaced along with this camera, with this software. And the sound is very interesting. We can actually play the music or the song which you like, and you can actually bring in a lot of wave. You must have seen the waves in the VLC player and other players. So you can bring it into reality, that you can have LEDs, RGB LEDs, 4-pin RGB LEDs, which would actually blink as per the beat of the song by converting the audio into audio file into pulse width modulations, PWM signals, right? By taking the I think the root mean square of the wave, and it goes on and provides PWM which can be sent to the Arduino. It can make the robot dance, like how you saw the Boston Dynamics. They released a video for this new year where the robots were dancing. So those kind of things, because we can interface sound, audio, and also the hardware, like the Arduino. So they're all like interlinked. So you can just interface with them. And I also have a few videos on my channel. I'm not sure if I can open it, but they actually dance to the tune of the song. So if you like to know more about this, what are the capabilities, I'll be able to answer you. In the meantime, I'm opening the video. So yeah, we'll take a break. So this video you can find where you can see this is the robotic arm in the graphics, and this is the hardware which was a simple version of it which I built. So this processing helps us to create GUIs like what you see on the top. You can move the bar so that it can change accordingly. These are all. This is a very simple setup. As you can see, there are only 3 9G servers used. Okay. So you can import the CAD using the which you in .obj format, which can be got from the CAD file. So I think you'll be using Fusion 360, and the last, especially when you need to operate something inside a unknown place like a nuclear reactor or a place where human cannot enter. So we can get the feedback from Sorry, this is the human model. Were you able to hear me? I think
Yes,
I.
sir.
Yes,
No,
sir.
sir.
Now you're, I mean, you're audible. Before you
Okay, I think the mic got muted. So where did I miss me? Like
So after the
After the
robotic
YouTube
arm,
video.
sir.
after the?
Robotic
YouTube
arm,
video.
sir.
Okay.
Sir, just after the first video, sir.
Okay. So this video, the initial video you saw, right? The what you call the robotic arm. This you could
Yes, sir.
able to
That
hear
is
what
fine.
I'm saying, right? You
Yes,
were
sir.
able to hear what I was talking. Okay, good. Okay. Don't know how it got muted. So this happens in stages. Okay. So first stage is where I tested the servos with the just the slider on the screen. So you can see the servos which are be on the table at the bottom left. They move based on the slider. Like you can set the joint angles. And now this motors were mounted. A simple setup was made just of cardboard and tested the robotic arm. Okay. So here, this is the process where I import the CAD into this. This is not the CAD which I imported, but I'm showing like how CAD can be imported into the IDE. So this is like there's a like you're seeing is the camera of the laptop or the webcam is being projected at the motor. So that is the background image. So the GUI is in the front. The slider which you see on the top, the servo motor 1 and the red link, that is what is GUI, which is being forecasted, like it is being shown from the processing ID. Okay, so this once I run the program, we'll get it. So now I'm testing with 2 servers. So you can see it moving. So this is the first one, and this is the second one. Okay. So once that is tested, only then I move into the CAD, like the 3D model. Here I bring it into 3D where I still it is planar. The links are still planar. You can see it while rotating. It's still in a plane, but it's not the exact CAD model. Okay. So this is how they tested, and the complete 3D manipulator was tested finally. Okay. So this is how these are the capabilities of what you call the processing software. So if one wants to understand more about this, they can follow Daniel Schriffman, who's also looking into the development of this. And if one likes to, these kind of manipulators are lightweight and they can actually be mounted below the drone, basically. Okay. So as I had informed in the first session, so these are this is a magazine, hobbyist magazine from the US, Servo magazine, where I write articles. But you can this is purely based on what you call how to build it from scratch. So this is actually available for the public. I'm just posting it in the chat so that you can look into this and try to find out what all stuff you need. It will be in a step-by-step manner, like setting up the environment and the hardware, how to fix it. Even it's basically for beginners. And this is the electronic setup, like how the 3 servers were connected to the regulated power supply and how the graphical is like it is a step-by-step process. So I think if I'm not sure whether Professor ASK is here. Professor, are you here?
Sir, yes, sir.
No, Professor Arokya.
Sir is not available. He is in another meeting. Sir. Tell me.
Okay. So I think he actually asked me to give a tutorial, assignment after the session.
Okay, sir.
So I think this is a step-by-step process where students can actually try to do it without the hardware, basically. So they can actually try to comment certain lines in the graphical user interface. They can actually discuss and do if they wish.
Okay, sir.
The files are all available. Okay.
Okay.
So they can just have this screen alone. They just need to move the base, shoulder, and arm. The robotic arm would actually move.
Okay, sir.
Maybe I don't think it can be done in a hour's time or so, but they can take some time to look into that. So I think for the participants, this is the tutorial which you can take up, okay, for your session. Pasting it in the comment also. So these kind of things actually help in understanding simple basic things like how a GUI works. And this is basically on Java, but you can actually shift it to Python by just changing the mode.
So which software should we simulate this on?
This is the same processing. You have all the files with,
Oh,
so you can actually download the files. You can have the download option here. I think it is accessible to everyone. Someone can actually test it. So you can download this. This has all the files in it. Okay, so, I have been given some like access into their lot of things. So sometimes it might work for me and it may not work for you. If that is the case, I can send you the GitHub link also. So if you like to move further, like if you in your spare time, you can actually look into this robotic arm, the same robotic arm, but in a planar form. So planar form. You can the tutorial is well written. I'll actually share it in the chat. So this is not a part of your assignment, but if you're interested to move further and learn a lot about how to interface the hardware and the GUI, so you can actually look into this link. And this, as I said, has you can.
What is the net weight of sir?
Hello, can you repeat?
Sir, what is the net weight of the system, sir? The robotic arm, the net weight of it.
Net weight, it is just a, like a basic, this one, right? What you're seeing on the screen. Just you can see this.
No, the other one, sir. The one with the servo motors.
Oh, this one.
Yes, sir.
This is about less than, I think, 200 grams if the power supply was external.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So one thing to be noted is that as I played the video, there is a box below it, right? The green color box, okay? And another orange color box below that. The reason is that these motors shake a lot. So I have filled the bottom one with sand and the green one with a heavy piece of metal inside it. And still you can see the, what do you call, the vibration at the end of it. So it has been minimized. So if you try to do it on just by holding it in the hand, I'm sure that even the 9G servo motors would create a lot of trouble. They create a lot of momentum which you cannot actually handle. Okay, so that is a point to be noted. And the last thing, the tutorial, the recent one, which I think would, yeah, this is the GUI for the Alpha Writer. So this is the letter A. You just this is the letter A. Here's the letter A. One has to click it. So the trajectory is not perfect. Okay. So it just writes it. So it is just you must have studied in theory, like about path planning, trajectory planning, motion planning, and those. And you would have also studied about the 2R planar robo. Am I right? So those who have taken the coursework. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
The planar 2R robo. This is one revolute joint. Yeah, this is one revolute joint which is actuated, and this is another revolute joint which is actuated. This is a 2R robo. Like you have the theory with you, and you just need to plan the trajectory. This is trajectory is not planned. Okay, just the motion is planned. They don't move simultaneously. Okay, so this is one thing which one can actually try, and the last one which I think most of you would be fascinated about is the dancing robotic arm. You play a song and it actually dances. Okay. So this is the recent article where you will know what all you need to and how the hardware is built. So it's base, shoulder, and arm, and the mechanical setup which we created for the first one, and the same thing. And I think you can download the code also, which is available here. I don't think the audio will be, is it? I don't think the audio will be there for you. So only when it is played with the audio, you can actually feel the beats. I'll paste it in the chat. So when you, after the session or sometime later, you can look into that. Okay, so I'll play the video. You can just, are you able to hear the audio by any chance? Hello?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, I'll try to increase the volume.
Audible.
Yes, sir, we can hear now.
Okay, so this is like whatever the even the Boston Dynamics did. So this actually was done before that. So the synchronization with robo with the song is actually a piece of cake when the robo is small. Of course, the robo is complex and at least needs a lot of fine tuning only in the PWM parameters. So they also had a choreographer team with them, as you might know that. But you can actually do it in your home with whatever robo you have with you. Not only the robotic arm, but even the quadruped which is there with you. Okay. Let's actually move on to the, I hope you had some sort of idea about how processing can be used for robotic purposes, like especially for GUI. Any doubts on that?
No, sir.
Okay. So the tutorial which I gave you is some pretty straightforward. You just need to know which lines to comment so that you can actually run only the software and see on the screen. So for those who do not have and who are new to programming, I think you can just try to run the program whichever line it says there's an error. You just try to comment that line. Most probably that would work. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Fine, sir.
So, and another thing, so the same thing can be used for controlling even the industrial robots. If you have some industrial robotic arm with you. So this was made by my team at Tata Automation Limited. So you have the flow chart, and this can be not using processing, but using the ROS. So initial setup, and we can do the same thing in ROS, RViz, and one can actually interface it with the ROS. So you have the controller over here, and this is the industrial roboting arm, which is powered by AC. Okay, AC, not DC. Okay. So it doesn't. The GUI is not limited to the hardware. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. And now I think we can move into the hardware. So another thing is examples would be here. So you can just Java examples. You can just try out examples of basics, topics, and other libraries. And this is pretty straightforward, and there is a lot of tutorials available on the Coding Train website, like a YouTube channel. Okay, so now I'm moving into the PyBullet. So I think about for the next half an hour, we would try to look into the PyBullet, and that needs a lot of understanding. Okay, so how many of you have actually installed PyBullet?
Sir, I have installed PyBullet, but I'm also able to run it. But there is this error showing up, sir. Could I just show it to you for a minute?
Yeah, so someone can. Otherwise, you can tell me what the error is basically, so that what error it is throwing.
Yes, sir. 1 minute. Let me just open it. 1 minute.
So like how to open PyBullet?
No, it's not like
install it.
opening.
Okay,
No,
sir.
no, it's not like a GUI basically. Like I'll be showing.
Sir, 1 minute. Guys, those who do not have PyBullet, please don't panic. Just listen what sir is telling. We will be giving you the recorded video. Once you install the PyBullet, you can practice. Fine. Don't panic. You just listen.
Ma'am, PyBullet is installed, ma'am, but like don't know how to open it, ma'am.
OS?
PyBullet is installed, ma'am.
No,
but
I'm
like,
asking which OS you are using, Windows or
Windows, ma'am.
Windows.
You gave that link that day, no, ma'am. I saw that
Yeah.
and downloaded PyBullet, ma'am. Installed, but like I don't know how to open and use it.
Let's see. We will see. Today, you just listen. Okay, what sir is telling. Those who have Linux can follow him. Like sir is using Linux, and those who have installed know how to operate, please do along with sir. But rest of the people, please listen. I'll give you the recorded video. From that, you can practice. Fine. Listen carefully, but what he is doing.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So I run I run one of the example programs.
Okay.
And the simulation takes place, but during the simulation, it like stops in the middle, and then it opens another file called logger.py. It loads in a logger file, and in that it points an error for a single line.
Okay. Okay. So it depends on what you do. It happens. It happens. That is something common. So we'll be checking it. I think sometime later after the session. What exactly program you downloaded, and we'll look into that. And also coming to the session on this, for those who actually are not having PyBullet or are new to PyBullet, I'll just show you the tutorial which I'll be following, by which you can get into the what do you call learn how to do it. Even if you are unable to attend this session. So this is the one. Okay, I'll post the link in the chat. So this was the first tutorial which I looked into, as pointed out by my friend who and a colleague who works on PyBullet. And this is pretty straightforward, starting from setting up the environment and moving further. Okay, so just zooming in. Okay. So here they assume that we have a knowledge of reinforcement learning, but at least for this part of the tutorial, I don't think we need to understand RL. So we'll be using PyBullet basically is an environment. Okay, so we'll be doing this and manipulating the URDF files. So for your information, it's like what to say. The URDF is nothing but a format which is usually given to the computer, which can be understood both by the humans as well as by the computer. So it's basically an XML format, file format. The word URDF, the acronym, it stands for Unified Robotic Description Format. Okay, so now people are moving towards SDF. That is another format basically. But in today's literally today's research, most of them are dependent on URDF files. So to know the basics of URDF, one can actually look into the tutorial, which is similar to that of what do you call? The URDF is also being used in ROS. So one can actually look into the tutorial in the ROS wiki to understand what exactly is URDF in depth. So I'll be talking about that in brief. Okay. So this URDF, if you see, depends on the package, different on the distros which you use. This is the robotic application where the URDF is given. So this is the abstraction layer, and it goes into other formats. Like it goes into the other like upstreams where one can use it for different purposes. Okay. So the conversions are also available, and one can actually check whether the URDF is proper by using the terminal condition like check URDF PR2, and this is the name of the file which we name the robo name, and this is the extension. Okay. So this is a pretty straightforward tutorial, but what I would like to show you now is the one which is explained over here. But if I go a little down, they explain what the link is. Okay, this is for the four-wheeled car. Okay, so it starts basically with the robo name, and it opens a link. I think most of you would have come up with some kind of markup language like the HTML language, where we open this, do follow this sort of format. So this is the base link name is created, and the visual parameters are set in. So it is basically a box, which is nothing but a cuboid. The length, width, and breadth are given, and the link is given. So the back wheel, so this is the body base link. And the back wheel, as you know, is a shape of a cylinder. The length of the cylinder and the radius of the cylinder is given. And the position, that is where the origin is, the RPY, roll, pitch, and yaw, is also given. Okay. In a similar way, four joints are named. So this is a joint which is which connects the link and the wheel. So the base and the wheel, basically, that is base to left back wheel. Continuous is nothing but the wheel rotates continuously. The wheel rotates continuously. So that is what is meant by the type of joint. Okay. So as we go ahead and build the file, we get the final URDF file for the front and it goes on. So it is very simple and straightforward. So the actual process of importing the URDF file into the PyBullet environment can be done using the import PyBullet option, like ASP. Okay. This I think is related to Python. So you can actually understand, and we connect it with the PyBullet, and we load the URDF. So in this case, we call the URDF as car in the PyBullet environment, and we load the file called simple car. Okay. So the number of joins, we get the number of joins from the car. Okay. So here what is done is we joint number, if it is within the joint range, then we go ahead and what you get the joint info based on the joint number and print the info. So as we start building the PyBullet environment, we add certain features like angle, that is the steering angle, the throttle, the car, that is we already added it, and the plane. The plane is one over which the car would move. Okay. So we create the indices. Indices are nothing but the joins, the 4 joins, and 2 are there are 4 wheels and there are 4 indices, and a hinge, that is the wheel, the fixed joints basically. The hinge joints basically, which are connected to the wheel. So what happens here is we basically set the joint motor control. So, and for the indices, for the wheel indices, and also for the motor indices. Okay. I hope you got some idea, so that we'll get into the hands-on. So what we'll be doing, I'll be doing now is for the Scorpion. So there are various files you can see on the screen. So this is the Scorpion robo, where you can get to know where there are a lot of what do you say, the links and the other joins which are in it. Okay. So this is the tail of the Scorpion, which goes further. So is there anyone from the organizer side? So I can send the file so that you can share it with the students if they have some group.
Sir, you can mail me. Okay, I'm Dr. Aragya here. You can mail me. I can forward to them.
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
Okay. Do you want me to share now itself or?
Now itself. No, I'll send it. I'll explain it. In the meantime, you can share it so that they can download.
Send to
So
my VIT.
Okay, Professor, I have sent it to you.
Oh, okay, Mr. Rajshekhar, I will check and then I will send it. Okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
sure. Yeah. Okay. So the most important thing which you need to look into the Python code. So here is the URDF of the scorpion with legs. So what this has here is the material. So the robot name is scorpion. Okay. So this actually starts, briefly explain, this starts with the material, and this actually goes up to create the first link, that is the base box. I think the file actually goes for about 1,200 lines. And once you can see the link at any point, it means that the link is being created, and its origin, RPY, and the mass value, inertia. This is just a rough estimation. So what all you learn in theory, you can actually put it here, and the collision properties, and the geometry is basically the shape. Okay. So what I would like to show is at the last, if you see, there are joints. Yeah, we'll take a break. Okay. So the joint means that the joint name is joint daily, and the type is continuous. So it moves in the continuous fashion. But what we will now see is that this is the URDF file, which has to be imported into the PyBullet environment. So this is the basically a Python code. And to all those participants, I haven't learned any programming language officially. Like I never sat in any class and learned. But as and when I come across to problems to solve, I just use the programming language, but for that particular purpose. So I may not be using the right term for the program, whatever it is, for what they. But I know what they are used for. Okay. So we are importing the PyBullet environment, and we are setting the gravity. Okay. So in the previous session, we talked about gravity, like X, Y, and the Z, whether it's a positive or the negative. So here it is negative of the Z axis. That means that the gravity is acting towards the ground. Okay. So I hope you get this three values. Am I right? What the gravity means: 0, 0, minus 9.81. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the Z-axis, as I showed you earlier, and this is the XY plane, the X and the Y. So if I drop something, it would fall towards the ground. So the gravity is acting in the negative, what do you call it? Negative Z-axis. That is why the sign convention is used. Okay. Okay. So next, what will be?
Yeah, Mr. Rajshekhar, I will
Yeah.
share the file to them. At
Okay.
present, you can give a brief info about that. Okay.
Sure. Sure.
All the participants, I will check their email ID and then I will send it to you. You can proceed further. Huh?
Sure. 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 Once
Okay.
you're done with sending the thing, you just inform me so that I can
No,
start showing.
actually, we are having another session by 4:45. So maybe we will wind up by 4:30,
Yeah.
and
Sure. Sure.
we can give a break to them. So
Sure. Sure.
maybe I can share that file to them, let them go through, and then we can have a discussion later. Okay.
Sure. 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 Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Raisi.
Yeah. Welcome, Professor. Yeah. So what happens here is, I'll better, I think, I'll run this file so that you'll understand what the code is for. Okay. So this is the file which I'm going to run. So as you can see here, Python 3.bp.py. Okay. Running it. It started. So can you see the robo on the screen? No. Hello. Can you see the robo on the plane? This is the plane, actually.
We are able to see only the axis planes. Planes, sir. We are not able to see any robot on the screen.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So what I'm trying to tell is actually the robo is really big. So 30 feet by 100 feet by 30 feet in length. So we need to zoom out. So actually you can see the robo now. Are you able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Primitive thing. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that once you start the PyBullet and you don't see anything on the screen, but it is still what do you call the command prompt is running still properly. But it only means that you need to zoom out. So the model can be actually bigger than what we see on the screen. Okay. So what I'm trying to show you here is, and quickly show the capabilities of the Scorpion, basic one. So you can see the leg. Okay. So sorry, this doesn't have anything on it. Head. So I'm just opening the Scorpion just opens up the head. Yeah, I hope you're able to see. I'm just moving the head. So one advantage is that when you give the joint angles for the head, whatever I change manually, you can do it actually with by learning, like RL, any sort of machine learning you can use and make it understand how to grasp an object. Okay. So for balancing, we need a control over the tail. So the tail is being controlled. So you can see the robot jumping actually. And one good thing is that it actually doesn't require much of the hardware. And we can actually play with the robo. I'm actually lifting the robo up and just dropping it. So that kind of interface is possible using PyBullet, which is actually I have introduced that to you before. And I'm trying to increase the left throttle. First left throttle. You can see the back leg moving. Are you able to see the rotation?
Yes,
The
sir.
back. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So next leg I'm moving. So this is all basically control. Okay. I like manually control. So this, all the four left side is actually moving. So the reference is now you can see it moving on the right side. But, it has its own reference point. So that is the left side. You can see it moving. The right side is still static. So these
Sir,
kind of things.
excuse me, sir. So
Yeah.
so each leg is moving at its own speed here. Hello.
Exactly. It is, each leg is moving at its own speed.
Okay, sir.
So these are just the radians, okay? So don't get confused about the numbers which are here. These are all in radians. By bullet, basically, like if it is in radians, the accuracy of results will be more while implementing it on the hardware. So that is one a reason why we go with radians. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just trying to catch this copy and try to move the right side. So what happens? The right side also moves. That's it. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we have a couple of minutes more, and I'll be winding up in the next few 1 minute.
Guys, it seems as audio device is not working properly, it seems. So if you have any questions, you please put him or ask him. He might respond in the chat box. If you have any doubt. Or else we will wind up. You have one more session to come. Guys, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Yeah. Please respond. If you have any doubt, you ask him. Sir can hear you people. He can't talk. He will respond in the chat box. Or else, if you don't have any doubts, we'll wind up.
Yes, ma'am. No doubt, ma'am.
No doubts, ma'am. Thank you.
He's setting up the mic. So let's wait. Rajshekhar sir, they are saying no doubt. If it is okay, we can wind up.
What's the message, sir?
Rajshekar sir, sir, can you please respond in chat? Is it okay to wind up?
Ma'am, when do I have to come again?
You have to come by 4:40. 10 guys, take 10
Hello.
break. Yeah, sir. Yes, sir. Rajshekar sir. Guys, go for a break, take 10 minutes, come back by 4:45. Meanwhile, if sir comes, if you have any doubt, please ask him. But come by 4:45, we have next session. In the last week, we have installed Fusion, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll be working on that. So you take a
ma'am.
break and come back by 4:45. Meanwhile, if sir available, please ask your doubt if you have any. Fine. The next session starts at 4:45.
Okay,
Am I
ma'am.
clear? Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Rajshekar sir, you're audible now, actually. Sir, I think you're audible, but a lot of noise is coming. That's it.